Garden State Film Festival. 200 films from over 14 countries are all happening March 21st to the 24th this year. I am your host, Emily DeSimone, and I am here with director, writer, and producer Mikey Smith of the film DeadBall. Thank you so much for joining me, Mikey, and take it away. Tell our audience all about your film.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. This is awesome. So my film is called DeadBall. It is a quirky little comedy about two summer campers who end up having to befriend a monster to win a dodgeball match. So it's very out there. It's very quirky. It's very funny, but it has a nice little wholesome overtone that me and my other collaborators who I wrote the script with we were striving for to emulate that kind of quirky and fun and lighthearted nature for the film.
I did watch it. I did think that it was like this super cute, fun film. What inspired this film? I do have to ask.
It's a great question. So I ran into a monster. No, I'm kidding. So
No.
basically, I am in a sketch group, and it was formed in college, and so we did live performances as well as online social media, like 1 minute videos of different sketches. And we did a live sketch in our senior year of college that was centered around a similar premise, with kind of the juxtaposition of having cute, innocent young campers with a crazy, scary monster, but the monster actually is like fine and normal. And the camp counselor Donovan character, who actually one of my roommates played and who's in the sketch group, Pat Farley. That was all in that original sketch, and so we performed that live a few times. Really loved it and got a great response from live audiences, and then we just kind of said, this is a very unique and kind of weird idea, but we kind of love it. So we're like, let's try to see if we can translate it into, a film and into that medium. And then that kind of just transcended us into being like, all right, well, how can we adapt and kind of mold it to fit more of a short film structure instead of a sketch structure?
Well, I do think that like quirky, kind of like out there, outside of the box ideas really do make for great stories, therefore great films, great books. So I want to like touch upon like the production process with you. I noticed you have, are there like there are children in
Yeah.
this and whatnot? Is this your first directing work?
No, so I went to film school. That's actually where I met the guys that were in the sketch group, and that helped write it as well. So I had been making films since like late middle school, early high school. I was very fortunate that in New Jersey, there's a great performing arts program in the Freehold Regional District called FPAC, and they have a video program within that. And so that's kind of where the seeds were planted, type of thing, for filmmaking for me. So just many school projects over the years and even independent projects as well. And I was fortunate enough that I had worked with child actors before, in high school, actually. It had been a few years. It had been about 5 years since I did it again with this. And in this one, we have two. And we got so fortunate that we got like just amazing kids who just they absolutely killed it. They were so fun to have on set, and they were troopers because we filmed it in August outside. It was very hot. It was, I think, probably during a heat wave, and I'll say it makes it more dramatic. I'll say it was during a heat wave. So they were troopers though, and they did a great job. And it made the whole process even that much easier, just because I had that prior experience, but also working with these new people and just making it work.
Yeah, you said like some of the actors you went to school with. So like
Right.
for example, like these kids, where'd you grab these kids from? Where'd you
Right.
find them?
So pretty much all of the actors in the film, except the two child actors, everyone else was someone that we had met in college, whether it was people that were in our sketch group. So like the two of the bully characters from Camp Penny, they were both in the sketch group as well. And then the other camp counselor character, the man behind the mask for the monster Caleb that's in the film, all of those were people that we had met throughout our schooling years, and who are all like very talented actors and writers and filmmakers themselves. And then the child actors, we just put out a casting call on Backstage, and we tried to find whoever we could that was in the area that was willing to do the production, being we had a very minimal budget. So that was, we had a lot of logistical things to figure out. But we were very fortunate that we, found the kids that we did, because they really did a great job.
So a great segue into my next question. You're saying like, you had like this budget to work with and you ran into some challenges. Can you enlighten our audience on a challenge that you ran into that you think made you into a stronger director, filmmaker, producer, writer now?
Yes, I actually have a great example for that. So the film ends with a big dodgeball match, and that's kind of teased throughout the entire film. That's what drives the story, and makes these two kids want to basically recruit this monster to help them win that annual dodgeball match, because the much older kids who play them every year always win. And so one of the challenges was we had to film an entire dodgeball sequence for the climax of the film. And it was my first time doing any sort of sport on screen. And I had always thought for the longest time that, not that it would be easy, but that it would be very structured and it would make sense, and we would just film it all and go from there. So we went in with, a shot list that we prepped, and I went in there, and I think I'll throw a random number. I think there was like, say 20 shots in that scene, something like that, 20, 22. And so we went in there, we were filming it, and very quickly as we were filming it, we realized, oh wait, so really that shot is actually kind of like this as well, and then we might want to add this quick little insert of it. So we kept adding shots and shots and shots. We ended up going into on our slate. We ended up going into double letters, because we went through the entire alphabet worth of shots and kept going and going and going. Just because there's so much footage you need to not only communicate the gameplay and how the game, structures and how it works, but also to make sure that you have those necessary elements and moments and beats that can help propel, the scene forward to make it all work. So it was very, very challenging to communicate my intentions with my AD and my script supervisor, who I've worked with many times in the past. So we luckily have a really great relationship and work really well together. But trying to figure out how to communicate, like, no, okay, so trust me, like this shot is technically this shot, but really they're different because of the. So it got really complicated really quickly. And I kind of said after the fact, I was like, all right, I did it, it's done. I don't ever want to shoot a sports sequence again, because that was incredibly complicated. And it was only with 6 characters. I can't even imagine if you had a stadium full of extras. And so, maybe one day, but for now I'm taking a hiatus on sports scenes.
Well, coming from the perspective of having watched the film, I did think that, all of the different shots are very much appreciated. I can, like, as you're talking about it now, I can see it as I was
Right.
watching it, all the angles and everything. And like when the one ball is thrown, and then I won't give it away. But with that said, so with the Garden State Film Festival, I'll tear off a little bit or into what we're here for. How did you
Right.
find this? How did you find the Garden State Film Festival?
So I, being that I, grew up in Jersey and in that area, when I was in high school, I had first heard about it, and I didn't submit anything in high school at the time, just because at that time I wasn't really submitting to festivals that much. And then I went to school at Montclair State University, so still in the great state of New Jersey, and I kind of made it a plan for myself. I was like, well, like, I really should start submitting to festivals. And so I was looking at different Jersey festivals and asking around different filmmakers that I looked up to that were either in school with me or previously in school with me, and they recommended Garden State. And so the first year I submitted actually was 2020. So we were all ready to go to the screening, and then they were like, it might be online, we're not sure. And then it was fully online, obviously with the pandemic. So that was, an interesting experience to watch a screening of a film on my TV. It was very interesting. And then I was like, all right, I gotta submit again so that I can actually go in person. So then for my senior year, I submitted my thesis film as well as my film 3 that I made during the pandemic, or my third year film. And I was fortunate enough that both got in. And so I was able to go with my family in person in 2022. And it was an awesome experience. It's definitely one of my favorite festivals. So I was very happy that this film got in as well.
Oh, well, congratulations on making it in. We're so happy to have you.
Thank
So
you.
that, it sounds like you have like this great education and you're really working on films. sounds like pretty consistently. Do you have any advice that you can give to someone who's just starting out? Maybe something that you've learned along the way that maybe you could have really benefited from when you first started?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me and what I kind of tried to execute on when I was even in high school was making sure that, and it sounds so like, cliche or like almost like, yeah, no, obviously it makes sense, but it's just to make films. I feel like there's this great saying from someone, I'm completely plagiarizing and I don't know who said it originally, but it's called analyzation paralyzation, where basically people, whenever they start anything new, whether it's film, whether it's running, reading, they analyze and think about everything, and oh well, if we're gonna do it, we got to do it right, and how can we do this, and they just get so focused on the what ifs that they never actually just make it. And so I've really learned that even if you are just filming on your iPhone, if you have a really bad camcorder or whatever, actually just making the film, and you'll learn so much more that way. And it's so crucial to becoming a better filmmaker. I mean, I could read 50 film books, I could go see 1,000 movies in the theater, but there's just something about actually being on set and learning about directing, or even if you want to do cinematography or production design, you're only going to learn so much from reading or viewing. So I think just actually like gathering your friends, making it over a weekend, and then seeing how it is, saying, well, that sequence didn't work, or that beat or that moment didn't work as well as we wanted to, why, and then learning from that and actually just making another one and going, because it's so easy to make films nowadays. So just take advantage of it and make as much as you can.
Yeah, we do live in a very accessible time for creativity, which is very thankful for like our age group and the up and
Right.
coming ages of people getting into it. Well, Mikey, thank you so much for joining me. Guys, you can check out DeadBall at Asbury Lanes on Saturday, March 23rd, 11:45 a.m. Mike, I hope to see you at the Garden State Film Festival this year. And there are 200 films screening across 8 venues, including hosting parties, panels, events, and more. Guys, get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. I'm your host, Emily DeSimone. And Mikey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Bye,
you so much.
guys.